Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience. As always, I will start where we are in public safety metrics this year. As of today, homicides in Baltimore are down 27%, non-fatal shootings are down 37%, carjackings are down 9%, auto thefts are down 42%, total violent crime is down 8%, and total property crime is down 18% in Baltimore as we continue to make significant progress even on the historic reductions that we had last year. And as I always say, we will keep moving diligently forward in this progress and building on that work that is proven to work across the city until every neighborhood, every person in the city is seeing the full, true public safety that we want them to see. First, I know there continues to be significant concern around the remaining disruptions stemming from this past weekend's underground fire on Charles Street. On Monday, I noted that we are bringing together all of the relevant utilities and phone companies who have a role here to work in unison to address the situation and to get to the bottom of the cause. That work is ongoing, and I'm confident that together we're going to make sure that we decrease the likelihood that this continues to happen in the future as much as possible. The fire department's investigation is ongoing, and BGE continues to do their repair work centered around Charles Street. BGE updated this morning and said that their work will continue this week and likely through the weekend, and they'll need to maintain the same footprint in order to complete that work. Next, this week, many of our minds and hearts have been with those impacted by the devastating and unexpected hurricane damage in North Carolina. As someone who has a lot of family in that state, it is scary and shocking to see the images that we have over the past few days. The recovery effort there is going to be long and hard and will take significant manpower. As a city who has seen our fair share of significant emergency situations and challenges, I know how meaningful support from other jurisdictions can be. That's why today, under the leadership of our incredible Fire Chief, Chief Wallace, the city of Baltimore is taking steps to send a team of 911 operators and emergency dispatchers to North Carolina. We know that with so many first responders doing so many complex operations there, these operators and dispatchers could offer some invaluable capacity to that effort. Now, this is a process that has to get that approved and effectively deployed and plugged into operations. So Chief Wallace and OEM Director Henderson will be coordinating their potential deployment with officials in North Carolina, and we will keep you posted. I just want to thank Chief Wallace and his team and all who are volunteering for this duty, for their willingness to help and care for our neighbors in North Carolina during this absolutely devastating time for that state. On a lighter note, I want to quickly lift up an item on today's BOE agenda that might not have been on everyone's radar. It included in today's agenda a contract for another new pool, a greater model pool in the Poppleton community. This is an extension of our continued work to make sure that every single neighborhood, especially those that have been historically neglected and disinvested in, have access to world-class recreation facilities. The work on this pool, which will be zero entry, there'll be actually multiple pools for the entire family, will begin shortly, and this project will take roughly a year to complete. We also have a very, very big thing today. Today, we approved the bid moving forward for which will be the new Congressman Elijah Cummings Recreation Center in South Baltimore. Elijah Cummings Recreation Center is proposed as a 22,000 square foot facility in South Baltimore with direct access to the Meyer Soccer Pavilion, CSX Field, and Fair and Baybrook Park. This facility actually sits right on a piece of property in between the neighborhoods of Curtis Bay and Brooklyn Homes, and is a way for us to again deepen our level of support for a community that has been through so much. And through extensive collaboration with the community and Curtis Bay Elementary School, Rec and Parks has developed a flexible building program that will offer recreational opportunities to a wide variety of users, including community space, open fitness, a regulation gymnasium, locker rooms, and a multifunctional outdoor patio. Once the bids are received and then approved, construction for this project will take 18 months approximately. As you can see from these renderings, it is going to be a gorgeous rec center that serves one of our most historically neglected neighborhoods. And this is specifically designed to be close enough to the school and the existing fields and rec facilities to be a safer, more accessible location for young people from both Curtis Bay and Brooklyn, particularly Brooklyn homes, to take advantage of. If you've been to Curtis Bay and seen the existing recreation center there, it sits on a street immediately across the street from an industrial park. We do not want our children to be traveling into an industrial park to have their recreation. And also, we want them to be in a rec center that is much larger than this room that we're in, because that's basically the size of the Curtis Bay Rec Center as it exists today. This significant project is going to be huge, and of course, it bears the name of our forever Congressman Elijah Cummings, who we know there was no bigger supporter for young people in Baltimore than the congressman. Both of these projects are part of our broader push on recreation and parks that we've been doing since I took office. Under my leadership, we've allocated over $200 million to recreation and parks for our rec rollout plan to transform community spaces across the city. This significant investment has resulted in the construction of 9 state-of-the-art recreation centers, the modernization of 26 playgrounds, 8 newly built outdoor courts for basketball and tennis, 6 cutting-edge aquatic facilities, 5 additional athletic fields. Along with extensive pavilion renovations, we have enhanced miles of the Jones Falls Trail, creating a safer, more enjoyable experience for all residents. This comprehensive initiative reflects our unwavering commitment to revitalizing public spaces and promoting healthy lifestyle and living amongst all communities. Lastly, I want to quickly thank Monsi for their work in helping to spearhead the city's work to honor Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Yesterday, they held a large community block party style event that drew approximately 150 people and local intimate partner violence prevention organizations at Bocheck Park in East Baltimore to kick off this month's work. Domestic Violence Awareness Month was established in 1987 to raise awareness for domestic violence issues, victims, and of course, survivors. This year coincides with the 30th anniversary since the passage of the Violence Against Women Act, a landmark piece of legislation designed to address domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and other forms of gender-based violence in 1994. Our team is hosting, another awareness event at Shake and Bake on October the 17th, and team members will be conducting smaller barbershop conversation events with young men where they can get a free haircut and talk about healthy relationships and how to prevent a domestic violence either in their own relationship or to how to recognize and deal with it within their social networks. In code, that means checking their friends when they get out of line and do things that are inappropriate, which every man and boy should be doing. While the month gives us an opportunity to highlight this work, it has to happen 24/7, 365, just like any violence intervention work that we do. And a few numbers here. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, intimate partner violence impacts millions of people annually, including an estimated 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men across the country. And this year alone, intimate partner violence has accounted for 19% of all violent crime in Baltimore City, which is why the administration has committed to addressing intimate partner violence, making it a part of our comprehensive violence prevention plan, with supporting survivors, helping families, and educating residents about how to practice and respect healthy relationships. It's equally important that we facilitate change behavior and accountability for perpetrators of IPV. That's how we end domestic violence. So thank you to Monsi, BPD, MOCA, and all of our city government partners who are working together to end domestic violence. And with that, I will turn it over to Brian and we'll take questions.
Gonna start with Lee from the back. Chief.
Chief, so the Monday's fire, this week's fire, Grand Park, Silver investigation, but there been 2 others this year. Has the department identified a cause for those? Yeah.
So there have been 2 others there. The challenge with cause identification in a situation like this is where the fire occurs and the nature of the fire. I'll get back to you on the previous 2. I can say that we have not identified a cause for the most recent impactful fire there.
Go to Alexa, 545.
Yesterday, DJS announced their policy changes. You and I, we've seen case after case where the GPS monitor did not stop an offender from continuing to commit crime. Is this enough to address the issue with juveniles committing crime?
Well, listen, I think, Alexa, nothing will be enough until we don't see any of these incidents happen when folks who are under care or supervision or whatever have you, right? I think, but this is a step in the right direction. As you know, I've been calling for changes to home monitoring for years, changes to how we deal with folks who are arrested repeatedly for years, and I think it's a great and huge signal that they're taking this step. But what you'll get from me is that I'm going to be committed to working sure that every issue is resolved, because the truth is that my police officers, as I said to your colleague the other day, are frustrated because they're doing their work. They're doing their job, right? They're going out there. They made this arrest within hours of it happening. But the frustration is that we continue to see the same folks over and over again. And we'll continue to work with our state partners to make sure that once we do our part and once those things happen, that our neighbors, our residents, our businesses don't continuously become the victims of the same.
Yesterday, they expressed frustration that robbery is not categorized as a violent crime. Do you share that sentiment? Does that mean?
Well, I think that, listen, as a victim of robbery who was robbed with a gun, we all know that robbery is a violent crime, and we'll look forward to be having that conversation with our state partners.
WBAO.
So the port workers are on strike right now, obviously, for Baltimore. You know, they have just gotten back to work not that long ago. So what is your response to the current strike and to the families who are impacted?
Yeah, listen, I think that I said to one of your colleagues yesterday that we all know that this is an impact of port workers around the country, but in particular for Baltimore's port workers, it's a lot tougher because they were out of work for a lot of this year. And what I hope is that we're monitoring the negotiations. I hope that that agreement can be reached quickly, especially for our port workers here who we fully support, because they've already had to go without work for so long in this year because of the Key Bridge tragedy, and really hope that this can be resolved in a way that allows them to go back to work to support their families.
And you or the chief can comment, but just in regards to the manhole fires, obviously, as we just said, it's been 3 of them this year. Business owners say that they're suffering because of the closures that they've had to experience. Some of them say that they don't know if they could survive another one. What is your response to those small business owners?
Yeah, no, we sympathize deeply with them, right? This has impacted everyone, small business owners, residents, city government, state government, and this is why we're pulling that group of folks together to look at what's happening on the ground, getting the best of the best from BGE's engineers to our engineers to Comcast, AT&T, the fire department, everyone who has responsibility for things that are underneath the city. I think that's why we have to do that, right? Because we want to work, as I said earlier, as hard as we can to prevent things from happening, understanding that we ultimately, some things we just can't control. But I think also this is the importance of what you hear me talk about extensively about Baltimore's aging infrastructure and why things like the things that we're now trying to pull down from our infrastructure bills that the president passed are important, because our infrastructure is centuries old.
Morning, Mr. Mayor. Sorry if you answered this yesterday. I was at the Orioles game. Wanted to ask about. I have taken some blame today. You were supportive of the governor's response to, as far as setting up the commission was concerned, with the Department of Juvenile Services, thanking Governor Moore there. Do you believe it goes far enough? A 26-member commission. I don't know how often they're going to be meeting, things of that sort. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the commission was a part of law, right? Like a law that was passed. I think, again, as I said to your colleague in the media, Alexa, I think that when you understand that we've had I have been, I can't tell you how many times Alexa has interviewed me and I've said things about home monitoring, right? Specifically about home monitoring, and that we were able to pass legislation around that will go into effect. I guess it went into effect today or yesterday. And now we have the governor hearing the concerns of myself and other people, because this is not just a Baltimore City issue, right? From across the state, and making those changes and putting that commission together is a responsible thing, because what you have to do is get into it. This isn't just something that you change a law in Annapolis. You're talking about operational things within the agency, and having that commission and having folks who have the experiences like I have, and like my police commissioner and folks here on our side have, working with the folks on the state and working with the folks in the state's attorney's offices and all of those. That's how you get to the crux of solving the systemic and operational issues here. So I applaud the governor and look forward to the work, but the work continues. And you know me very well, even though you haven't known me that long, that I'm not going to be happy until we don't have incidents like that happening with anybody, especially people who are on an ankle bracelet or have been arrested for the same thing 2, 3, 4, and 5 times.
Go to White here at the back.
I have two separate questions. My first question, earlier this week, the IG released a report and found that about 20% of DPW sanitation workers didn't have health care, didn't know that they weren't covered. Are you concerned that that might be reflective of a broader problem across other areas of city government, and is that something you would look into?
So I'm glad you asked this question. It's a perfect opportunity to clear a lot of this stuff. I want to walk you through that. First and foremost, the city provides insurance to everyone who is eligible for it as a matter of how you come into city employment, period. Matter of course, right? It's part of the benefits package that you need to opt out of. I just want to be very clear about that, right? We communicate that in a variety of ways, right? When you come into city employment, you have to go through for your employee orientation. That's a part of it, right? But we also send emails, letters directly to employees' homes, including mine, throughout the year when you're getting to that enrollment period. Actually, I got some last week because open enrollment is about to start. There are many reasons that a single employee may opt out of their insurance. They might have a spouse and may be covered on their spouse's employment, or have insurance in another way. DPW outlined very clearly that they're going to take additional steps to reach these 136 employees identified in the report, to double check with them, but it is categorically false to say that they were not offered insurance or did not receive communications about it. Period. Employees should absolutely be able to make their own choices about how they receive health insurance. No one else should be making that choice for them or indicating that they don't have the ability to make that choice for themselves, because only they know their family and their situation and the way that needs to be known to make that decision. And that comment that was made was just simply not true, but also is a little disrespectful to our workers.
Thank you. My follow-up question is actually for the fire chief. I was wondering if we could hear a little bit more about the potential aid being sent out to Western North Carolina. How many people? It seems like it's not totally done and dusted. There's a bit of a process. What does that look like over that timeline?
So I'll start with the process. The process is known as an EMAC process, which is Emergency Management Assistance Compact. It's federally recognized. It occurs all over the United States, during times of disaster. States, by way of the process, can ask for mutual aid assistance from other states. That's been going on since prior to the hurricane strike. In doing so, they request specific resources, anything from flood swiftwater teams, collapse teams, ambulance strike teams. This particular case, there was a request made for 911 telecommunicators. So what that looks like is what we call a mission-ready package. So we've assembled a group of 911 operators, and we've combined them with several fire and EMS dispatchers, and they fall under the command of one individual. That's a mission-ready package for 911 telecommunications. That offer is then submitted into the process, and if North Carolina accepts our offer, then we'll deploy that team, within hours of that actually being accepted. The goal is for when they arrive in North Carolina, because they are mission ready and trained. As the mayor said, they will immediately integrate into what will be a long-term operation in North Carolina. Their communications down there are very limited. The people that are indigenous to the town, we believe that destination will be Asheville, so their indigenous workers, they need a break. So we need to come in seamlessly and assume that role as telecommunicator for the 911 system.
Good to go to the Baltimore side. Yeah.
Just to follow up on the resources being sent down to North Carolina, you said it could be long-term. How long do you expect that to be, and will it take resources away from the city of Baltimore?
So I can tell you from past experience, normally there's a set amount of time. We were in North Carolina, Baltimore City was, with a flood team, I believe in 2018 in response to Hurricane Florence. The mission was a 21-day mission. We ended up down there, I think, for 9 or 10 days. So the deployment is variable. The specifics of this particular request are a minimum of 7, a maximum of 14 days. However, they could ask for additional time, right? That would come back to us. It would come back to the state of Maryland. But just on past experience, these missions can really, really, really vary, not only in length, but also in location. Again, this is not new for the city of Baltimore. We've sent teams out before. This request, however, is a bit unique. It's normally, emergency response boots on the ground. This is a technical team. They have a specific mission when they go down there, and that's to maintain 911 and radio traffic capability.
WJZ or anybody that hasn't got one yet? Come back to Janine.
Question for you, Mr. Mayor. Last week, Governor Hogan, boiling down his words, basically said that the red line is a waste of time. I can see by your face you're not happy about that. What is your response?
Well, we should be riding the red line right now. And what we have in the former governor is that he's just who he is. We're talking about a man who gave back $1 billion of federal funding and then put out a map of the state of Maryland that didn't have Baltimore City on it. So we should expect him not to think that Baltimore should have 21st century transportation, because his actions throughout his entirety as the governor of Maryland proved that he didn't think Baltimore was worthy of investment, of his time, of his energy, of his focus, of anything other than partisan talking points and grandstanding. And that's why he isn't fit to be our next United States Senator. The red line should have been built already and shall be built now. We have to have a 21st century public transportation system if you're going to continue to grow and thrive as a city. You will not go into any other major city in this country that has transportation, public transportation rail, that both of them go in the same direction except Baltimore. That's asinine, and it has to be fixed, and fixed through doing the red line. But we should expect the former governor to say that, because, hey, he wanted to make sure that the purple line got built because it benefited his company.
The law firm hired to investigate DPW, slated to release its recommendation at the end of September. Have you received those? When will they be released?
Yeah, so yes, as you know, we engaged that law firm, and they have completed their review. The firm has provided extremely, Alexa, helpful insights and recommendations, but we are going to make sure, and we must ensure, that all stakeholders are engaged in the proper course to review and assess their recommendations. I made it clear that I will not just accept things from them carte blanche, and anything less than a safety plan for DPW that goes beyond what is simply required by the new state of Maryland standard that is out there, and solidifies Baltimore City as a leader in heat safety among municipal sanitation collection agencies across the country. I believe that their recommendations will meet that mark, but we also are going to make sure that we're taking the steps of making sure all the other stakeholders are engaged before we come out with anything. We have to, that's a lot of scheduling, Alexa. We have to make sure that we get the proper time to brief folks, and then we will push those things out.
One more.
Sorry, I just want a clarification. My first question about the OIG report, and you said the comment was categorically false. Are you referring to the OIG's findings or my summary?
No, I mean, not you at all. I'm referring to the innuation that folks can't make that decision for themselves. And I think that we have to think about the numbers here, Emily. We're talking about 12,900 employees that qualify for health insurance with the city, and only 1,600 of them opt out. That's only 4.5% of our city employees. Our employees are smart enough to make decisions for them families and themselves, and we provide the opportunity for them to do that in every way.
One.
Yeah, I got one. It's been a big week for housing in Baltimore. Obviously, to introduce the TIF, the governor came to town yesterday, introduced his proposal, but something that died Monday, or at least is on pause, is the idea of land bank. Obviously, THCD finds that duplicative, but what are your views on land bank?
I agree. We don't need it. I think I went to Detroit. Actually, the city administrator went to Detroit, and the thing that we heard from the folks there when we were there 2 years ago was that your housing department can do all of these things. We couldn't in our housing department, which is part of the reason why we started a land bank. But in particular, what I heard from so many folks in the black community there was that it actually didn't help them. It helped them be pushed out. And I think that we have to be very particular. We have a all-in-one accomplishing housing department, and we should use it in that way. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We're very grateful, again, for the governor and the state support. Obviously, we're looking forward to the council's moving the TIF forward, and we can actually take TIFs into neighborhoods across the city of Baltimore like we've done with every project down on the water, but we don't need the land bank.
Thanks, everybody.